The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is unspeakable. Children are starving, civilians are being shot at while queuing for aid, and a point there. I I've been very cautious to endorse the idea that Israel is guilty of genocide on the grounds that the military orders to the IDF, to the soldiers, were to avoid civilian death, to take care not to involve civilians in the fighting. But actually, it now turns out there's an order given to the IDF specifically to target civilians getting food from an aid centre. That clearly moves the argument well beyond any question of pause, and I think in future I'm going to add very clearly the term genocidal to these comments, because I think it's a deserved charge, and it then throws the theatrical hand wringing of people like Lisa Nandy over the IDF chants in Glastonbury. It throws that into a new light. But in this particular case, the basic apparatus of civil life has clearly collapsed in Gaza. And the British government's pledge today to evacuate critically ill children and airdrop supplies sounds noble, and it is in spirit, but the execution is fraught with danger, contradiction, and ethical ambiguity. First of all, airdrops are not precise, as history and Gaza itself have shown potentially lethal. In March 2024, parachute failures killed at least 5 people. Others drowned trying to retrieve aid from the sea. The idea of help from the skies can quickly become tragedy from above. Secondly, these things are inefficient. 7 crates of flour and sugar dropped into the dark sky of a besieged territory is not strategy, it's theatre. And aid groups, including the UN's own aid agency, have called these drops a distraction and a smokescreen. Aid must be allowed to flow, not fall. What Gaza needs is not token parachutes, but sustained, secured land convoys, and the bottleneck is not supply, it's Israeli obstruction, mistrust, and military chaos, and airdrops treat the symptom, not the cause. As for children, why children? Of course the suffering of children tears at the conscience, but why just children? Who decides which child is worthy of evacuation? What is a child? Under UN conventions, it's anyone under 18, yet thousands of teenagers face hunger and bombardment with no prospect of escape. And I'm afraid Starmer's call parallels with the Russian orphan rescues, and that raises a haunting comparison. Russia has removed Ukrainian children under the guise of protection. If Britain selectively evacuates children without a transparent international framework, how is this morally distinct? Consent, custody, reunification plans, all of that needs to be watertight. And what then? Where will they go? Who will care for them? Are they going to be put into some sort of hotel limbo? Are these children to be granted temporary sanctuary, refugee status, or something more ambiguous? We must avoid turning tragedy into bureaucracy or virtue signalling into abandonment. And the risk of selective compassion, I think, is huge. By rescuing a few, we risk ignoring the many. A dozen airlifted children might soothe British political conscience, but it will not feed the 90,000 women and children facing acute malnutrition. Nor will it stop Israeli gunfire at aid lines. So are we creating a new caste of deserving as opposed to undeserving victims? A girl with cancer may be flown out while the boy who watched his home collapse remains behind. This isn't strategy, this is sentimentality masquerading as policy, and it's potentially evil. Demanding humanitarian corridors is the route that we should go down. Starmer must use Britain's diplomatic weight not just to fly planes but to open borders. Aid trucks, not airdrops, must become the norm. We must ensure legal and safeguard and safeguarded evacuations. Any evacuation of children must be under the supervision of the UNHCR and UNICEF with full documentation, parental and guardian consent, and robust safeguarding protocols. We must stop the theatre and start the pressure. The Israeli government must be told firmly and publicly that starving civilians is not a defensive act, it's a war crime. And recognition of Palestinian statehood, backed by aid guarantees and diplomatic muscle, must be the next step. And Britain must not confuse compassion with effectiveness. Good intentions are not enough. What is needed now is clarity of action, legal integrity, and the political courage to confront the siege itself, not just solve its consequences. And otherwise, this becomes what one aid worker has called it, a grotesque Hunger Game with parachutes.